Casey at the Bat by Ernest Lawrence Thayer. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2, but with one inning more to play. And when Cooney died at first, and Barrows did the same, a pall-like silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to the hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought, if only Casey could but get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as did Jimmy Blake, and the former was a hoodoo, while the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single, to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, and men saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second, and Flynn a hugging third. Then from 5,000 throats and more rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley, it rattled in the dell. It pounded on the mountain and recoiled upon the flat, for Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing, and a smile lit Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance flashed in Casey's eye, a sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in a haughty grandeur there. Closed by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. "That ain't my style," said Casey. "Strike one," the umpire said. From the benches black with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of a storm waves on a stern and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" shouted someone on the stand, and it's likely they'd have killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With the smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult, he bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the dun sphere flew. But Casey ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two!" "Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands, and echoed answered, "Fraud!" But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain. And they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in the favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. Casey at the Bat, Ernest Lawrence Thayer, published June 3rd, 1888. San Francisco Examiner.
You're in Braves country.
Welcome in, Braves country. Let me get the screen set up here for 1 second. As you can see there, the Mets have taken a 6-4 lead over Philadelphia. Looks like they're still batting in the ninth inning. Sorry. Trying to do two things at once and not really thinking about what I'm saying. They're in the ninth inning. The Mets have taken a 6-4 lead over the Phillies. And let me move this back just a little bit so we can see the score. And if you haven't heard why we're doing the game today, Waldrip is going to make his debut. There we go. So Waldrip's going to make his debut tonight or today, but there has been a rain delay. Now, I looked at the weather this morning, last night, etc. No threat of rain. There's a very small band that is passing through the area essentially now. So if it's a rain delay, and it's what it looks like, it's going to be a very short one. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play the Hurston Waldrip clip real quick, the interview from when he first came up, come back and do the predictions and all that stuff. And then we'll go to a quick delay. But like I said, it shouldn't be long because I'm looking at the radar and it should be passing very, very quick. You will notice, let's see, have we made it live yet? Let me see here. Gonna make it live here in 1 second. We are, yeah, there we go. We have added an emoji for Waldrip. I've been calling him Gumdrop forever, ever since we drafted him. Just, because his name's so close to it, Waldrop, Gumdrop. So until we come up with a better nickname, that's the nickname. I looked up what an actual Waldrop is, and there's nothing exciting about that. So I'm sticking with Gumdrop until we come up with a better nickname for him. I looked to see if he already had a nickname. He does not. He's from Cairo, Georgia, and if I could play the music, I would have, because Cairo, Georgia, if you know the history of it, they're named after the capital in Egypt. I would be playing Walk Like an Egyptian every time he struck someone out. But that's you can't do that on YouTube. So if we were just strictly doing this on radio nowadays, that's the clip I'd be playing every time he struck out somebody. But anyways, Gumdrop Waldrop, his emoji is in the country club thing now. So we're gonna listen to Waldrip, Gumdrop. I'm gonna keep saying that backwards. But anyways, we're gonna listen to his entire interview. It's about a 5-minute interview, and then we'll come back and do all the predictions and whatnot. Like I said, they're saying rain delay. I don't think it's going to be much of one, because by 2:00 it's supposed to be clear as a bell, and it looks like it's clearing out of the area closer to like in the next 15 minutes. All right, this is Hurston Waldrip when he first got the news that he was going to be an Atlanta Brave and getting the start on Sunday. Here it is.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say I wasn't shocked, but, obviously a big surprise, and it's pretty cool, just to be here and take all this in, enjoy all the first and everything that comes along with it, just play some baseball.
As you take stock of this, how long have you dreamed of this moment and kind of what tomorrow's going to be?
I mean, it's, been playing baseball since I was 6, and so probably a little before that. Grew up a Braves fan, and, just being able to put this uniform on, it'll mean a lot. Where were you, and how did you find out who, called you, and then who did you call after that? We were in Durham, North Carolina, playing. I was with Gwinnett playing Durham, and they called me in after the game 2 days ago, and the manager told me, and immediately ran outside. I tried to eat dinner. It was like 2 minutes after the game. I tried to eat dinner. I couldn't. I threw my plate away, ran outside, called my parents, and they cried. And it's pretty cool. So it's a pretty cool moment. Will they be at the game tomorrow? Is anyone trying to get here? Oh, yeah. There will be a lot of people here tomorrow from Thomasville. So a lot of support. So grateful, very grateful. Who all do you have besides mom and dad? Siblings, aunt, uncle, cousins, college coaches, or not college coaches, high school coaches, travel coaches, friends. There's a good many people. You said you were a Braves fan growing up. Who was your favorite player? Did you go to games, all that? I mean, I went to a couple games here and there. Grew up a Craig Kimbrell fan. Honestly, he was right when I was coming up, was right when he was getting pretty big. And then Chipper Jones, obviously, hard not to be a Chipper Jones fan. And then a couple Braves legends, the pitching staff, Smoltz, Maddox, those guys. And growing up and not being able to watch them play, but knowing who they are now and understanding who they are, and being able to wear the same name as them on the front of my jersey, it's pretty cool.
How important was that? You being able to watch videos of them watching Smoltz, and seeing that splitter.
Yeah.
How important was that?
That was pretty cool. Be able to watch someone do it, and then try to replicate something like that. I think that's what we all try to do. We try to watch the greats and see what they're good at, and try to find what you're good at as a person, as an individual, and everyone's different. So trying to find what you're good at and do it really well.
I think we talked to you on Zoom when you got drafted, say it was 10 months ago. Could you have ever thought it would be this quick to get up here?
I mean, no, with the way baseball works, but I think you also can't really let that affect how you play. Me personally, I set really high goals and really high achiever, and everything that I do on a daily basis, I put forth to achieve those goals. And so, can't say that I had that in mind, but I also can't say that it was out of the picture. So.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned throughout this last year of just being in pro ball, which is different, obviously?
Just baseball. There's a lot to learn. You can just say baseball, but learning hitters, learning the age of hitters, experience, and everything that they have everything that they've seen. It's my job to go out there and compete and to give them my best stuff every day, and just to be on the mound and know that I'm better than whoever's in the box, but also have respect for them because, they're here for the same reason. So.
Are you already feeling the nerves for tomorrow, or do you feel pretty calm as of right now?
I mean, I wish I could say I was calm. I wish I could say that, but no, I think that's part of it. I think nerves will always be a part of baseball. Anyone you ask, it'd be lying if they said they didn't have nerves playing the game of baseball. So, yeah, a little nervous, but also really excited.
What were you able to do after that first start or those first two starts? Why were you able to just click right away after that?
Yeah, I mean, I just getting in my groove, getting comfortable. Obviously, first year in pro ball, and so being able to learn the ins and outs, and there was a lot of stuff that went on prior to that to get there, and so not getting over anxious, and then pretty much just settling in and enjoying baseball and playing baseball, doing what I know how to do.
I know you pretty much just got here, but has Brian Snicker said anything to you, some of these guys in the clubhouse so far?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of being around these guys in spring training, so being able to meet everybody and makes everything a lot easier, being able to come in the clubhouse and know some familiar faces, and having met Snip prior to this and walked into his office right when I got here and said, hey to all the coaches. Just, wish me good luck, and that's it. So.
You mentioned all the people coming for you tomorrow. What, I guess, sort of pride does it give you to represent your community in Thomasville?
It means a lot. There's not many people that know a whole lot about Thomasville, Georgia. So it's pretty cool to be able to say that's where I'm from, and mostly just to have the support that I have means a lot. It's very, very helpful in the stressfulness of this game to have somebody to go back to, a family to go back to, support to go back to.
What was the conversation that led you to go to the splitter that summer, or 2 summers ago, whatever?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get a left-handed hitter out with anything that I had, and it was pretty aggravating to face 8 or 9 lefties in a lineup in a day, and so it's like, well, I got to have something. So came up with the splitter, and it's all been good news from there. So,
I mean, did you have thought that was what was going to lead you to the majors 2 years later?
I mean, honestly, no. I've always been a guy that throw the ball as hard as I can and throw hard, leave everything on the field, and that's kind of always been my motto. And so when I came up with the splitter, it's like, well, throw as hard as we can, see what happens, and then so here we are.
You mentioned the high goals you set for yourself. How have you, as you've gone on through baseball, been able to balance maybe the pressure or being hard on yourself with like giving yourself some grace with still having those high standards?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance. I like to look at failure and the pressure of those higher standards as like a privilege to be able to like understand how much you can gain from failure. Not necessarily saying that I am attracted to failing, but being able to acknowledge that and to move on and learn from your mistakes. And a lot of mistakes in baseball, a lot of failures in baseball. So learning as we go and just pitch by pitch.
You said your parents immediately cried on the phone. What have they kind of said to you since then? What was their reaction after me wiping away some tears?
My mom's instincts kicked in. She's like, oh my gosh, we got to get flights. We got to get hotels. How are we going to get up there? When are we going to get up there? When are you throwing? What time's the game? I was like, Mom, just give it a rest. It was late. It was after the game. It was like 11 o'clock. It's like, just worry about this in the morning. She's like, no. I couldn't even get back to my hotel room. She'd already sent me a list of who all's coming, who all's going to be there. It was awesome. It was the best thing ever. So, yeah, I loved it.
Okay, so that was, let me change the screen again. That was Hurston Waldrip. Lengthy interview, but wanted y'all to hear the whole thing. Excited to watch this kid pitch. By the way, Justin Toscano, I like him as a writer. Can someone give him an energy drink or something when he's interviewing these guys? He's the one that keeps going. As you hear him, he goes, and then would you want to go to dude, would you drink a damn coffee? What are you doing to us? I'm sorry we woke you up and you have to be in the Braves locker room interviewing these guys. Jeez Louise. He used to be on one of the Braves podcasts, and they got rid of him. I never heard him talk that way. When he was on the podcast, he always seemed engaged. But this is like the 10th time I've heard him this year interviewing guys, and he's always just kind of mumbling and bumbling around, voice cracking. Like, it's like, did they literally just wake you up? Anyways, the guy that took over for his podcast is even worse, so I don't even listen to him. But anyways, the tarps are on the field, but there's no real threat of rain. Once again, looking at the radar, it looks like it's going to go. Yeah, exactly, John. The guy sounded like he was on pills. He sounded like he was bothered to be at that interview, that he had just the laziest questions. But anyways, no one else in that little circle. The lady, I don't know who she is, but she seemed on it. You know, the other guy interviewing seemed on it. But I know his voice because of the podcast he used to be on. Like I said, when he was on the podcast, didn't do a half bad job. Never sounded like that. The rain that's in the area looks like it's going to be gone and gone soon. So I would think that we're going to get first pitch in the very near future. What we're going to do now, because I didn't really expect this, we're going to hit one of the Once Upon a Pastime shows, play this and keep the feed running. Because as soon as they break for pitch by pitch, play by play, we're good. I mean, literally right now they're interviewing the guys at the game, and you can see sunshine beaming behind their back. What the hell? I've got a theory. I think the Washington Nationals are having a cram session with video in the video room right now, getting ready to face Hurston Waldrip. That's what I think. I think it's had nothing to do with the rain. This had to do with, what are we going to do? By the way, if you haven't looked at this, the Braves are getting a bit of a break. See, did the Mets win? It's still 6-4. Is that game still going on? Let me look over here real quick. Sorry. Bases loaded. One. Oh, of course they are. But the Braves are going to be taking on a youngster in their own right. Now, he's got one other start under his belt in the name of Herz, Herz, DJ Herz. He is from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Was drafted by the Cubs in 2019. Looks like he came straight out of Fayetteville, North Carolina high school named Sanford. So he pitched one game earlier. He 4 innings, 4 earned runs, 7 hits to the Mets. I was reading the clip on it, and what they said was he looked really good the first time through the order, and then the second time through the order, the Mets clubbed him. So I'm hoping that's what happens today. Actually, I'm hoping the Braves get to him earlier than that. I'm going to take the Braves to actually put some runs on the board today. I think with this kid pitching and with the fact that they're going to be a little juice, a little jazz, want to get Hurston Waldrip some run support. Man, they got him on screen right now. And he looks like a baby. Hurston Waldrip goes out there. By the way, the over-under on his strikeouts is 4.5. 4.5. Give you an idea, he struck out 11 his last start in AAA. So I'd be banging the over if I were y'all. I may know a guy who did. The 4.5, I've got him clearing his strikeout total. I've got him going 5 strong innings. Look, we don't need a damn miracle. We need him to go about 5 innings. We need him to give up 2 to 3 runs, keep it somewhere in that neighborhood, somewhere around a quality start. I don't expect him to get to 6 because with his control issues and you're going to have jitters, he's going to walk some guys, and that's going to drive the pitch count up. But the Braves win this one in a higher scoring affair. Give me the Braves to win this one 7-4. 7-4. And by the way, my guess was right. Daysbel Hernandez was the one that was sent down this morning. So Daysbel Hernandez was sent down. Waldrip sent up. Ron Acuna Jr. was put on the 60-day IL. That was to make room to put Waldrip on the actual roster itself. That was no big deal because we knew Acuna's not coming back this year anyways. So that is, if you missed that, Acuna to the 60-day IL to put Waldrip on the 40-man roster, And then Daysbel Hernandez, who pitched 1 inning yesterday, goes down. Kerr is staying up. And it's what I suspected. They're leaving Kerr up because they may need a long man. Schwellenbach is still due to pitch probably Wednesday. We'll see how they go. I mean, I was looking at it. There is a way for the Braves to run a 6-man rotation. When you've got a long man like Kerr, do you only need to use every once in a while? The rest of the bullpen is manageable if the starters do their job. And so I've been clamoring for a 6-man rotation forever. I hate this up, down, up, down, up, down. Give these guys a break. Now, look, if you're a fantasy baseball player, you don't want a Braves pitcher because he's not pitching twice in a week. But that's a different story. But you would have a 6-man rotation. You keep these guys fresh. You get them ready to roll for the playoffs. And then eventually when the rosters can be expanded in September, the 2 guys you would add would be 2 more bullpen arms. And if you wanted to, you could run some of your relievers down, up and down. So that is an option as well. And give them breaks. So we'll see how they do it, but I would like to see the 6-man rotation deployed, even if Schwellenbach doesn't stick around, let someone else have at it, because they're constantly taking that extra day off anyways. Why not just have a 6-man rotation and call it a day? All right, we're going to step aside for a second. We're going to play which one? We're going to play the one about the Boston Braves, and we will be back very shortly. I don't think this is going to be a very long delay at all. I'm thinking 15, 20 minutes. We're going to be back in action. Once again, I got the Braves winning. What did I say? 7-4? Did I say 7-4? And my pick to click today. So the kid that is on the mound is a left-hander. He's a left-hander. And so the easiest pick would be Ozuna. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take the only guy that's worth the damn for my pick to click. Give me Travis d'Arnaud. Travis d'Arnaud hasn't played all damn week. Give me Travis d'Arnaud. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be fresh. I think he's going to go out there and get a couple of hits. And Travis d'Arnaud, maybe even gets into one. You know, all his damage, his home runs, they all happen in that little 5-day window in that wraparound series. So give me Travis d'Arnaud to get to clicking. Man, I'll tell you what, Lando Arcia and Austin Riley, they've got to get to hitting. I get it. Duvall's not doing the greatest job of the world, but he's not expected to. In fact, I think they have him too high up in the lineup. I would have d'Arnaud behind Olsen, but that's neither here nor there. But Arcia, Riley, and for that matter, I'll put Michael Harris in there. Those 3 guys, man, they got to get going. Olsen's had some good games. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been a Matt Olson-like, but he's had some decent games. Ozzy's been solid. Ozuna's been fantastic. But we've got to get some production out of Austin Riley, the $200 million man. We've got to get production out of Michael Harrison. We got to get production out of Arcia. The Mets won 6-5, so there you go. Good news there. Mets won it 6-5, and that's the 2-game series that they had overseas. All right, we will be back in a flash here on Braves Country, pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves as soon as the rain delay subsides. We will be back. Welcome in, Braves Country. Let's do this one right. We are talking about the great Boston Braves. Boston, I figured this would be a good time to hit the Once Upon a Pastime series with your Atlanta Braves organization. And I know most people know that the Braves started in Boston, but they probably don't know a lot about them. And so we're going to kind of go over that today and really dive into who the Braves are, who the Braves were, because this team is the oldest continuous franchise in Major League Baseball, right? And the Boston Braves originated in Boston, Massachusetts, obviously. And they played in Boston from 1871 to 1952. So, good 80 years in Boston. They did win one World Series. We'll get into that. But one of the things that's overlooked with the Boston Braves, the Atlanta Braves, because when a team moves, I think it gets lost in translation as far as what a franchise has done, because I think a lot of fans want to separate, and you really shouldn't. If the New York Yankees tomorrow got up and moved and went to wherever, whether they kept the Yankees name or not, there'd still be a heck of a history with that organization. And the Atlanta Braves, the Boston Braves, the Milwaukee Braves, the Boston Red Stockings, who we began with, the Boston Red Caps, Bean Eaters, Doves, Rustlers, Bees. It's all the same franchise. And whether folks know it or not, or have paid enough attention or not, I think it's coming more to light as we get more into the information age where so much of this stuff is at your fingertips, but who has time to really go into it, right? Who has time to read up? Well, I do a lot of it. I read a lot of not just Braves history, but baseball history in general, and really have never done one of these, and I wanted to commit a solid episode to the Braves organization. They started in 1871, and they won their first pennant in 1872. So this is a rich and storied franchise. They have won 22 pennants. We have won 16 world titles. 16 world titles. Even though we're normally just credited with the 4 World Series, there was a lot of baseball played before 1903 when the World Series first came into play. And I don't think that you can take away from the fact that a team has won championships just because they came up with a new way of looking at it. I'll give you an example. You ask a Green Bay Packer fan how many championships they won. They don't just point to, there's a reason why they call themselves Title Town, right? They don't just point to the World Series history. They point to all of their championships, and rightfully so. If you ask a Green Bay Packer how many championships they've had, they'll tell you they've had 13 league championships. And that's what I'm telling you about the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta Braves have had 16. 4 in the World Series era, 12 prior to. We got the first championship in 1872. And when you look at the Boston Braves and what they were doing, "82 years in Massachusetts, the franchise was known by different names. They started off as the Red Stockings, right? From 1871 to 1875, we were the Boston Red Stockings. And the team, while in Boston, won 10 National League pennants and a World Series in 1914. But before the National League, it was the National Association. It was technically called the National Association of Professional Baseball Players, NAPBP. But when you see it shortened in most articles or whatnot, they just call it the NA, which is a little confusing because you normally see the NA on a lot of things is not available. But the National Association, the original Boston Red Stockings teams, that's what makes them the oldest continuous playing team in American professional sports. There was no football. There was no basketball. There's no hockey. There's no pickleball. So in 1871, they became Boston Red Stockings, and the history begins. The only other team that has been organized for as long was the Cubs, but they did not play for 2 years following the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. So that's where it gets a little tricky. But the Braves started playing in 1871, and they had a fire in the grandstands, but they did continue to play. The Great Chicago Fire is a totally different story. We don't have time to get into all that today, but if you know the Great Chicago Fire story, you'll understand why they did not play baseball for 2 years in Chicago. So here we go. The early history of the team. They were originally called the Cincinnati Red Stockings, established in 1869, voted to dissolve after 1870. Player manager Harry Wright went to Boston, Massachusetts at the invitation of the newly founded Boston Red Stockings. So it gets a little confusing because Harry Wright, who is one of the grandfathers of baseball, played for both the Chicago Red Stockings, who had this enormous, and we are planning on doing a Once Upon a Pastime on Cincinnati Red Stockings. But they had an enormous following because they had this huge winning streak that ended up dying. I want to say 131. It was somewhere in that neighborhood. And when that fell off, the fandom fell off for the Red Stockings. Because what they were is that they were a barnstorming tour. They called Cincinnati their home and played most of their games in Cincinnati. But when they finally lost a game in what was something newly tried out called extra innings, Harry Wright and company opted to try to win the game in extra innings. They lost. It ended their 100. I want to say 131, but I could have that number wrong. It was somewhere in that neighborhood. They ended up dissolving the team because fans quit coming to the stands because it was no longer the cool hip thing. It's almost the equivalent, although they weren't rigged games and they weren't showboating. It was a different type of thing, but it would be the equivalent of what the hell the Harlem Globetrotters just lost, right? Say they lost their fandom and they dissolved the team, and Harry Wright with brother George Wright and a couple other Cincinnati players joined the Boston Red Stockings. Boston Red Stockings founder Ivers Whitney Adams was the original owner of the Boston Red Stockings, and he helped put together the National Association. And he was a businessman in Ashburnham, Massachusetts, left the town of 19 to seek fortune and fame in Boston, and away we go. And he was the president of something called the American Net Twine Company, and made a lot of money and decided that he wanted to get into the game of baseball, open up the Red Sox, or the Red Stockings, and brought Harry Wright and his brother over to Boston. What you have to realize is that they had a name already established. It was Harry Wright, and George Wright was his brother. You go to the Hall of Fame, you'll see them splattered all over the place. The original Boston Red Stockings team starts playing 1871 and 1872. They win their first pennant. Back then, you didn't have a World Series, you didn't have a championship series. You played your season. It was much like the way professional soccer is over in Europe, you played your season, and whoever had the most wins was the champion. They did, at the time, it was looked upon as you wouldn't dream of watering down the season that you had of all the games you played and won for a series. That changed in 1903 when the Boston Pilgrims, which are the Red Sox, it's not the Braves organization, when Boston played Pittsburgh and they saw what the gate receipts were. They're like, holy cow, we've got something here. But as time goes along, a lot of these guys that make these decisions aren't always right, and they didn't realize what they would have had. Now, what you see on the screen for the Boston Braves is the old South End's ground. And that is the original stadium for the Boston Braves. And so they played there at the very beginning in 1871 and were there for quite some time until they moved to Braves Field. We'll get into that in a minute. But this is what they played in. They had the grandstands behind home plate and the fans would spray out down the right and left field line. Typically back in those days, and this was very, very common, is that you did not have an outfield backing you up. It's one of the reasons why home runs were not as common as they are today. There's a lot of reasons, but that's one of the reasons, is because you would go just as far back as you could to go get the ball. And if you could get the ball back in, these guys were athletic. They may not have had the hose that, when you think of someone gunning it from right field nowadays, they may not have had that kind of cannon, but they had an arm. They were very good in fundamentals back then. And with the fundamentals, you're talking about hitting the cutoff man, et cetera, et cetera. So home runs were pretty rare back in that day because of the simple fact that you just did not have that kind of situation going on where the ball would just roll and roll and roll and no one went and got it. It didn't die in the stands. You kept going. Now, what would change down the road is that you would start having fans in the grandstands, right? And you would have the fans, the fans trickling back in the back. I said grandstands, but I meant back in the back of the outfield seats that we look at today. The bleachers is what we would call it today. Back then they didn't have any bleachers, but they would start roping it off back there, have fans back there charging admission because they got tired of people watching for free. And so that's where that's at. And with that being said, home runs became a little more prevalent. Home runs really hit the big time. You'll notice in the 1920s, and the reason why that is because stadiums like Yankee Stadium were built, and once the ball went so far, it was a home run. It was no longer run, go get it. There are many stories that talk about that when they started roping off that back area and they would drive people in, that if you're playing at home and the ball was hit far, the patrons would bend that rope towards the field so that they could come up, not only just get the souvenir, but also to help their team win, right? So all of this is in play when you talk about the early history of Major League Baseball. But as far as the Boston Braves are concerned, and of course, conversely, if the ball was hit and you were the home team and you were in the field of play, you'd pull the rope back to give your man a chance to make the catch. And then the gambling got involved in the late 1890s, and the gamblers are out there in the bleachers, so to speak, and they would be out there affecting the rope going back and forth and the crowd going back and forth. They'd also be out there trying to pay off the guy, say, hey, drop that ball, I'll give you 20 spot. Some other guy is out there yelling, catch the ball, I'll give you 25. So it was a different game, a different era back then. These guys weren't making a lot of money, so some guys could be had. And you can scoff at it now, but you weren't out there playing back in those days, and you don't know what you would do. You think you know, but you don't know. So the Braves come in, and they start play, and not only do they win the pennant in the NA pennant, the National Association, National League will come into existence in 1876. But from 1871 to 1875, the Atlanta Braves won. The Atlanta Braves organization. Boston Red Stockings won. 72, 73, 74, and 75. 4-time winners of the NA. 4 times winners, and there was only 5 seasons. 1876, the National League is formed. It's a compilation of some of the teams that are in the NA and some expansion teams, and they brought some ones from over. But the Boston Red Caps, as they were called at that point, so they're the Red Stockings from 1871 to 1875. But because there were so many teams, including the Cincinnati Redlegs, later on you had the Boston Red Sox, so many teams were naming their teams after their attire. That's where the White Sox come from. There were the Blue Sox. There were a lot of teams. So they decided to set themselves apart and became the Boston Red Caps. They went out and got a bunch of red caps and became known as the Boston Red Caps. Still keeping with the red theme. In 1876, the National League is formed. They join it, and their first National League pennant is a year later in 1877. This Boston Braves team would dominate the early part of the National League. And we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the beginning of the Braves franchise in the National League itself, leading up to their first World Series championship. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Welcome back. As we are talking the Boston Braves, the Braves organization in Boston, however you want to word it, because they weren't the Boston Braves every time, as we've already kind of gone over. They had several names, and now they are the Boston Red Caps. It's 1876. They win their first championship in 1877, their first pennant in the National League. They already had 4 pennants prior to in the National Association. So pennant number 5 takes place in 1877. And when they join the National League, by the way, they win their very first game. Season back then, it started till late April. For good reason. Most of the games were being played in the Northeast. April 22nd, 1876, the Boston Red Caps defeat the Philadelphia Athletics and win 6-5, and the rest is history. So we win the pennant in 1877. We win it in 1878. And then there's a little bit of a lull. We don't win another pennant until 1883. Now, back then, the National League, along with the National Association, there weren't as many teams back then. So you're like, how could you play whole season not have a championship series. It would feel cheap. Imagine if today we were playing and at the end of the season, there was only 8 of us, 10 of us, but at one point, National League, 8 teams. Imagine playing all those games and you don't have a tie to any other league and you win. I'll give you an example. Let's take the American League, or excuse me, the National League East, the National League Central. Let's put them together. You still have 10, but still it's close enough. And the Braves are running away with it right now if you put the records together today. And let's just say, for argument's sake, they're sitting out there, the 10, 12 game lead. They win the division. They win the league by double digits. It would feel cheap to then just grab the random second place team and say, we're going to play a series, and whoever wins that particular series, even though you won the league by 20 games, we're going to take that one series and say you're the champion. And that was their philosophy back then. You didn't have as many teams. Now that changes when the American League and National League, because the American League comes along about 10 to 15 years after what I'm referring to right now. They come along and they build their own league, and then there's a big argument which league is better, and that's kind of how that came about. It's much like the way, if you're a football fan, NFL, you had the AFC, right? You had the AFL and the NFL, and when they merged, they turned into the NFC, AFC under the National Football League shield. Well, this was National League. Eventually, there's an American League. There was a Players League. There was a Federals League. There were a lot of leagues. But the one that made it was the American League, and so they put them together. And they didn't want to lose the league moniker. That was a National League thing. National League wanted to hold on to the history, the rich history. So that's how they came up with the term Major League Baseball. So they wanted to keep the American and the National separate. Of course, little did they know years from now there really would be no separation, because you've got nothing but every single day there's an interleague game. So all that rich history kind of died on the vine around 20 years ago. But here we are, and we hit the 1880s. We have 6 championships in our pocket. We win 1 pennant in 1883. So kind of a dry decade. And they then turn their attention to the 1890s, and they are back. And they are back in a big way. And during the 19th century, the Boston Red Caps, as they were called, along with the Bean Eaters, they would win pennants. So we already talked about the NA pennant. You had 4 in your pocket. You win 2 more, you got 6 going into the 1880s. You get a 7th in 1883. In 1891, 92, 1893, 1897, 1898, they would win 5 more pennants. And those 5 pennants, along with the pennants that were won in the NA and in the early stages of the NL, make the Braves organization. They were the New York Yankees before the New York Yankees existed. They were the most dominant team in all of baseball, winning all of those pennants. And when you're talking about sitting there with 12 pennants in your pocket before the 20th century hits, that's very impressive. They would hit, once you got into, by the way, the 1898 team, the one the pennant, finished 102 and 42nd, and 102 and 47, a club record for winning percentage that would stand for almost a century. And they were known as the Heavenly Twins, with Hugh Duffy and Tommy McCarthy and a guy by the name of Sliding Billy Hamilton. I love that because I when I hear sliding, I hear the Braves. What's the first thing you think of is slid, right? So even back then, we were sliding and winning pennants. When the American League's new Boston entry was set up shop in 1901, the Bean Eaters were decimated. At that point, they were called the Bean Eaters. So let's backtrack real quick. They go from the Red Caps, 1876 to 1882. From 1883 until 1906, they are known as the Boston Bean Eaters. One of my favorite names in the history of sport. I just think it's a great name. Would make no sense to call them that in Atlanta. But the Bean, literally because of the Boston Bean, they were known as the Bean Eaters. Most of the fans back then would shorten it to the Beans, Boston Beans. And a lot of them would be shortening to that to call them the Bees, which is how they ended up. It's one of the reasons why they ended up with that nickname. From 36 to 1940, they were called the Boston Bees, and that had a lot to do with it. So here we are, beginning of the 20th century. The Boston Red Stockings come along, and you got yourself a bit of a mess. First of all, the Red Stockings quickly changed the name to the Red Sox after there was some confusion before they were the Pilgrims, right? But anyways, when the Boston team comes in, and they went through a handful of names, but when the Boston American League entry comes in and set up shop in 1901, that's why you see the big drop-off. So you're like, man, how did this team win, 5 pennants in the 1890s? And then there's this big gap from 1898 to 1914 before they win another pennant. It was because, of course, back then there weren't the rules that are set up now, and they were bidding on them, especially because they were rival leagues until the marriage in the early part of the 19th century between the AL and the NL. So what you have there is they kind of had to start over from scratch. There were teams that were jumping ship. Michael King Kelly. All of the stars would jump ship, say, well, this guy's paying me a little more this week. I'm going over here. And that's the disaster that was. So they don't win another championship, but they have all of these pennants in their pocket, and they're flying around the stadium. And you're out there, and the Boston Braves are still a very popular team. And they then start looking at Boston Braves Field, which is opened up in 1915 after the Miracle Braves, because they were still pretty popular. Welcome in, Braves country. We are just about set for pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play of your Atlanta Braves. Kind of doing this at the seam of our pants because, A, not our normal broadcast day, and B, there was a rain delay. But yes, sir, it is baseball time in Braves country. First pitch on the way to Ozzy Albies, wearing the road grays top to bottom. Atlanta across the chest is down and in for a ball. It's 1-0. The 1-0 to Oz. Kicks and fires. Swing. Pops it up. High in the sky. Into center field. Coming in. Making the catch is Young. One away. So one down, here in the top of the first inning. Think we can actually switch this over. They did this a lot quicker than they normally do on the screen. Austin Riley stands in. First pitch on the way to Austin is right there at the knees. 93 miles an hour. It's 0-1. Lefty-righty matchup. The 0-1. Kicks and fires. Right there, 0-2. So an 0-2 count. Hers comes set. The pitch. Swing. Pops it up. High and out of play. Do it again, 0-2. If you missed the pregame, evidently DJ Hurts looked really good his first time through the line. The second time was the one where he kind of struggled. You would think Atlanta would go in with a game plan of watching pitches. The 0-2, high and out of the zone, 1-2. You would think Atlanta would go in that game plan every single game, but especially today. So a 1-2 count, Hurston Waldrip day. The 1-2 pitch. Just misses outside, 2-2. Hurts thought it was a strikeout. He was walking off the mound, getting set for the next batter. Did not get the call there. Andy Fletcher, who is notoriously bad umpire, behind home plate today. The 2-2. Swing. Pops it up high. Not very deep. Lazy fly ball to right field. Coming in, making the catch is Thomas. 2 down. You got Winker, Young, and the outfield today, as has been for the entire series. Senzel, Abrams. It's Garcia at second today. Gallo at first. Ruiz behind home plate. First pitch to Marcell Ozuna is a bender down and away. It's 1-0. Braves nothing, Nats nothing. Top of the first inning. The 1-0 to the Big Zoo. Swing and a miss over the top. 1-1. Pulled the string on that changeup. Marcell, the 1008 OPS, 18 homers, 55 RBI, the 1-1. Inside misses, but called for a wide inside strike. Marcell looked at Beckham and gave him a "what you talking about, Willis?" And Ozuna is going to call a timeout. I thought for a second he might get tossed. He is giving home plate umpire Andy Fletcher the what for. Like we talked about it. I mean, there's no other word to put it for it. Andy Fletcher is terrible at his job. The 1-2 from DJ Hurts. I'm going to keep calling him JJ. The 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. And Ozuna's got something to say to Fletcher as he walks away, and that'll end the inning. Braves 3 up, 3 down. I don't believe he got tossed. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Hurston Waldrip debuts when we come back.
If you sneeze and I say God bless you, the only thing you should say is thank you. I don't need to hear all of this. How did you get in my house? Why is my window broken? I'm calling the police. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Hey, what do you call a policewoman that does all those chalk outlines? Tracy.
10 things you didn't know about Theodore Samuel Williams. He disliked the name Teddy and even went as far as amending his birth certificate to say Theodore instead. He had offers from the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Yankees while he was still in high school. His major league debut was the only game which featured both Williams and Lou Gehrig playing against each other. In 1940, he made his only appearance as a pitcher. He went 2 innings, allowing 1 run on 3 hits, and even struck out a batter. In his autobiography, he stated that his eyes were probably shut on his 1941 All-Star Game walk-off home run. In 1949, he set the MLB record when he got on base in 84 straight games. He was once fined for spitting on a fan who was taunting him after he dropped a fly ball off the bat of Mickey Mantle in Fenway Park. He homered in his last at-bat of his career on September 28, 1960. He almost hit 400 a second time in 1957, but he fell 5 hits short of accomplishing the feat. He took hitting advice from a 14-year-old who told him to dry his bats in an oven to release the moisture they picked up from the playing field and return them to their original weight.
On July 25th, 1966, at Cooperstown, New York, Ted Williams was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Baseball gives every American boy a chance to excel, he said. I hope someday Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson can be added here in some way as a symbol of great Negro League players. They are not here only because they did not get a chance. 5 years later, Leroy Satchel Paige was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Please like and subscribe today, youtube.com/@Braves Country. Welcome back to Braves Country Baseball. First pitch on the way. Hurston Waldrip is swung on, banged up the middle. RC has got it, fires it over to first, and it is a 6-3 put out for Hurston Waldrip in his major league debut for your Atlanta Braves. Looked like he went with the splitter straight off the bat. So Waldrop will go to work. The first pitch on the way is a four-seam fastball. Right there, first strike. It's 0-1. The 0-1. Righty. Pitch on the way. Slider down and in. 1-1. Nasty slider. That thing breaks down and in almost like a screwball. The 1-1. Splitter in the dirt. Those are the three main pitches you'll see from Hurston Waldrip. He's got a four-seam fastball. The splitter is a strikeout pitch, and the slider really is a get you straight pitch. The 2-1, slider on the outer edge, ball 3-1. So a 3-1 count, Waldrop will hit the higher 90s with his fastball. Brings it to Thomas. 97 misses outside, ball 4. This has been the big thing about Hurston Waldrip, the thing you worried the most about. Hurston Waldrip has had control issues, which is why it was a little shocking that he came up as early as he has. First pitch on the way to Winker, swung on, popped up, high over the third base side. Riley fighting the sun. He'll make the catch, and there's 2 away. So 2 up, 2 down. Waldrop, 11 strikeouts his last time out in AAA. He had just gotten promoted to AAA. He also walked 3 in that outing. Gave up a handful of hits. Righty-lefty matchup now for Rosario. Rosario takes the first pitch, 96 right there in his wheelhouse. It's 0-1. Washington wearing white jerseys with the capital on the chest, blue sleeves, white pants, red stripes. Waldrop turns around and flips it over to first to keep the runner close by. Thomas will go if given the chance. The 0-1 on the way. Runner goes. Here comes the throw down to third, and he's dead meat. Travis d'Arnaud unleashes the cannon, and that'll end the inning. So how about that? Essentially 3 up, 3 down. We'll grab the bats when we come back, and that man is coming to the plate.
Change doesn't just happen. It is forged by empowered women like me and Norma Ray and the lady from The Blind Side. You know what the difference is between me and her? Blind Side's family had her back.
Okay, huddle up, everybody. Your mother's right. She's the quarterback of this family, and we need to protect her like Blindside did.
She just said the mom was Blindside.
Well, she's confused. Blindside was the black kid who played tight end.
Offensive line.
Sorry, African-American kid.
Join the country club today. You'll have access to badges, one-of-a-kind emojis to display your Braves pride throughout the ball game. You'll also get instant access to our video drops, members-only chat, wallpapers, and more is on the way. Help support Braves Country Radio. Join the country club today.
Hey, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you should probably throw away that unopened bag of salad mix that's been sitting in your fridge for about 3 weeks.
I think there's comfort in continuity. So many things in our country have changed drastically, as they must over the years and over the decades. Violent disruptions. And although baseball has changed, its essence remains the same. It's one of the enduring institutions in our country, and I think we take some comfort from that.
Almost against my will, I got back to Fenway Park. Somehow it felt disloyal to the Brooklyn Dodgers, but it seemed crazy to let this love affair go on the rest of my life and never enjoy another team. So reluctantly, in about 67, a perfect time, I started going back to Fenway Park. And then that whole season took place, and it was such a miracle at first that they had been in 9th place the year before, and they had this impossible dream of a year, that at first I didn't see the similarities between the Red Sox and the Brooklyn Dodgers. I thought I found a winner, finally. But then the similarities set in.
Welcome back to Braves Country Baseball. First pitch on the way to Matt Olson is down and away for a ball. It's, they call that a strike? All right, 0-1. Someone's getting tossed today. The 0-1. Up top, 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Top shelf for a strike, 0-2. So an 0-2 count. Pitch on the way. Misses the zone 1-2. The 1-2 to Olson. High and inside. Changeup, 84 miles an hour. A little above the letters. We'll do it again. It's 2-2. The 2-2 from Hertz. His 17th of the afternoon. Way out of the zone. Ball 3-2. So a 3-2 count. If you're just joining us, Waldrip's first inning of work as a Major League Baseball pitcher. Gave up a walk, but d'Arnaud threw out the runner. So 3 up, 3 down. The 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3, blew it right by him. 4-seam fastball. Olson will go grab a seat. 1 away. One down. Adam Duvall comes to the plate. He takes the first pitch for a slider at the knees. It's 0-1. The 0-1 kicks and fires. Way outside. Changeup misses. 1-1. DJ Hertz, 23-year-old left-hander from Fayetteville, North Carolina. 6'2", 197. Tail of the tape. The 1-1 misses well outside. 2-1. So a 2-1 count. Lefty righty. Hertz delivers. Swing, and that ball swatted down the left field line, but foul. 2-2. Hertz was drafted by the Cubs in the 2019 draft. He was an 8th rounder. Made his Major League debut handful of days ago against New York. The 2-2. Outside wide ball 3-2. Against the Mets, 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, and a home run given up. The 3-2 pitch. Right there at the knees, caught looking. Whoa. Called that a ball? All right, we'll take it. Hertz doesn't like it. Can't say I blame him. That was a bad call, man. I mean, right there on the knees. If you've got the stat track in front of you as well, you can see it. Oof. So 1 on, 1 out First pitch on the way to Darnode. It's right there at the knees for a strike. It's 0-1. Travis Darnode, 246, 773 OPS. The 0-1. In the dirt, ball gets away. Duvall will scamper on down to second with these. Ball goes into the camera well, which means Duvall should be awarded third base. They're going to send him back down to second. It's a judgment call. That's a bad call once again by home plate umpire Andy Fletcher. You can assume he already had second. And he was reaching second base when that ball went into the camera well. He should have been given the extra base. So 1-1 count, the pitch. Down and in, 2-1. Not something you can challenge. It's a judgment call by the umpire. The 2-1. But 9 times out of 10, you would see the batter get the extra base. The 2-1 in the dirt, ball 3-1. So a 3-1 count to Darnode. Standing on deck is Michael Harris II. The 3-1 pitch. Swing, and that ball's laced into right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. Adam Duvall is going to be held up at third. Hard hit ball into right field. We know that Tui does not have the gambling side of him that Ron Washington did. I still contend that's got a lot to do with why the Braves' runs are down as well. There were times where I felt Washington sent guys he shouldn't have sent, but there's got to be a happy medium. You got to get a little aggressive. Duvall's got good speed, and Thomas has a solid arm, but he's not Vladimir Guerrero. First pitch on the way to Michael Harris II. It swung on and swatted back foul. It's 0-1. That's all third base coaching right there. The 0-1. Foul back out of play, 0-2. Maybe Ron Washington's doing a terrible job in Los Angeles. Maybe he gets fired midseason and we get our third base coach back. So an 0-2 count. Lefty. Time is called. I've got an idea. People keep talking about wanting to make trades. Let's say they go out there and absorb Mike Trout's contract. I say the stipulation is you got to send Ron Washington over in the deal as well. I'd make that deal today. Pitch on the way to Harris is down low, I guess, 1-2. Not that they would ever make a trade for Trout's contract. Man, is that thing ballooned and he cannot stay healthy. The 1-2 pitch, swing, and swatted it back foul. One thing you can't do here, you can't strike out. You got to put that ball in play. If you put that ball in play, most likely there's going to be a run. The 1-2. Kicks and fires high and inside. Checked if they went around. He did not. He didn't come close to going around. So you got a 2-2 count. 2 on, 2 out, top of the second. Deuce is wild to pitch. Swing, and that ball sliced into left field. That's going to get down for a base hit. And your Atlanta Braves are on the board here in the second inning. Holy cow. Pinch me. Am I dreaming? The Braves have scored a run before the other team. It's 1-0 Atlanta. You know what? Scratch that. If I am dreaming, let me dream. Don't wake me. Runners on first and second. They got to come up with a new celebration. A, that celebration that Harris just did at the base sucks. B, I feel like they come up with a new celebration, they might get out of their funk. That chop was the best thing they ever did. They won the World Series with it. I don't know why they just don't go back to that. That was the best one they ever had. So runners on first and second. How is Trout going to get in the Hall of Fame? I'd say that he's probably going to drive to the steps and then just walk right in. Lando Arcia comes to the plate. First pitch on the way. Down and away for a ball. It's 1-0. I know that chop was realist because it's supposed to be some kind of sword, but whatever. You can tell people whatever the hell you want to believe. That chop was a chop. The 1-0. Inside 93. Arcia has to back out of the way. 2-0. So a 2-0 count. Pitch on the way to Orlando. Inside 94. 3-0. Mike Trout's already in the Hall of Fame. When you consider guys with WARs of just over 70 get in, Mike Trout, if he never plays another day of baseball, is a 3-0 down and in. Ball 4. That's going to load the bases. Mike Trout has a WAR of 86.2. And even if he just played minimal the next several years, his WAR is going to be about 100. No way he doesn't get in first ballot. First pitch on the way to Kelenic is a swing and a miss strike. It's 0-1. He's at 378 home runs. He'll probably finish over 500, but even if he gets in the 450 range or whatever because of injuries, he's going to walk right in. The 0-1 ball, did that get him or did that foul off the bat? Kelenic is walking away. There's a signal made by the, so I think they're calling it a foul tip. Kelenic, yeah, it tipped the bat. The way he looked, I thought maybe it got him. But I think it was just the disgust that he let that ball hit his bat when you know it almost hit him. So bases loaded, 2 outs. The 0-2 pitch to JK. High and inside almost gets him. And this time Kelenic says something. He says, come on, Hurts. You want some? Get some. Home plate umpire Andy Fletcher gets in the way. His helmet came off. And I mean, honest engine, I don't think he's trying to throw at him. That's the last thing he's trying to do. Last thing DJ Hurts is trying to do is throw at a left-handed batter at the bottom of the order with the bases loaded and 1 out. And when you consider the last pitch almost hit him, he's just missing his spots. But I can also see the aggravation from Kelenic because he's been thrown close to a few times in this series. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt. Ball gets away. Ball rolls all the way to the back. Here comes the runner. He is safe in your Atlanta Braves. 2 Washington Nationals. Nada. Here in the top of the second inning. The speedy wheels of Travis d'Arnaud come through. Man, that was a lot closer than it should have been. d'Arnaud looked like Fred Flintstone running down the side. Just legs are moving, not going anywhere. But he is safe. Ball got away, by the way, is the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss coming out of his shoes. Strikeout for Kelenic. 2 down. For those of y'all on radio, the ball came out of his glove during the slide, so even if he may have gotten him, d'Arnaud was safe. The Ozzie Albies comes to the plate. Lefty righty. First pitch on the way to swing, and that ball's lifted high, but not very deep. Lazy fly ball to center field. It's getting the work of the order, and that'll end the inning. Not for your Atlanta Braves put a couple on the board. It's 2-0. We head to the bottom of the second.
We leave for Honduras tomorrow for a tournament on Saturday and Sunday. It's about a 49-hour drive, so plan accordingly. From there, we're going to raft over to Cuba for a night game on Monday. Now, if we pull out a win in Cuba, we get an automatic bid into a tournament that's in Croatia. That game will be on Wednesday. Once that's wrapped up, I would like everyone to meet Saturday morning at the ESPN Sports Complex in Disney for practice. Our first game in Disney starts at noon later that day. Now, don't get spoiled with this schedule. As the season progresses, we will pick up more games. Also, we are still calculating the exchange rates, but Coach Gary will let everyone know how much we owe in tournament fees. Any questions?
Your 80-year-old dog don't want to go on a walk with you, okay? This is my third time this week seeing people carrying around their 80-year-old dog because the dog barely made it on the walk. He don't want to go on a walk with you. He's 1 foot in the grave. What makes you think that he wants to go on a walk with you? Him and George Washington Carver were friends.
Boston fans dared hope they might at last win the World Championship that had been denied them every season since the team sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees. Plans were made for a big victory parade.
He could throw a baseball through a brick wall, as a matter of fact. If I had to choose one person to pitch one game in my one lifetime, I would choose Bob Gibson.
Now, Gibson would face Carl Yastrzemski in the 1967 World Series.
You're listening to Braves Country Radio with Mac Magee, the classic call of Braves Country baseball. Hurston Waldrip goes back to work, bottom of the second inning. First pitch on the way is a floating slider. They're top of the zone to Eddie Rosario. Don't do that too many times, youngster. It's 0-1. The 0-1. Righty-lefty pitch. Swing and a miss. Splitter down below the hands. It's 0-2. They were saying Waldrip was going to have 25, 30 of his closest family and friends there today. The 0-2. Swing and a miss. Strike three. And the gumdrop Waldrop gets his first big league strikeout here as an Atlanta Brave. Everybody hit that gumdrop emoji, baby. Garcia is a slider down and in. 1-0. Right there for a strike. Swing and a miss. It's 1-1. So a 1-1 count. Hurston Waldrip brings it. Swing and a miss. That splitter's working now. 1-2. He gets that splitter working. The video that I've seen of him over the last several weeks, that splitter's working. He's just unreal. That splitter misses way wide and outside 2-2. So a 2-2 count. So what it is you've got a fastball coming in mid to high 90s, and then that splitter comes in at 86 with a quick duck. The 2-2 swing 96 foul back. We'll do it again. So essentially what you get is a guessing game, and they both look very similar coming out of his hand. And then every once in a while he flips that slider in there, which is almost like a fast curve. And he can bend it away and bring it in on him. The 2-2 from Waldrop, down and in, splitter misses, 3-2. So a 3-2 count. Don't want to start walking, guys. With a 2-0 lead, I say go ahead and bring it. See if they can hit your hard stuff. 3-2 pitch, swung on, chopped foul. They went with the splitter. He left it out over the plate, but it couldn't keep it in fair territory. We'll do it again. The payoff pitch from the gumdrop. Swung on, banged on the ground, right to Ozzie. Ozzie to Olsen all day long. 4-3 put out, 2 down. 2 outs. Here in the bottom of the second. So far, if you're just joining us, Hurston Waldrip has faced the minimum. He has allowed to walk, but that runner was thrown out by Darnode in the first. First pitch on the way, 97. That's bringing it. Right there in his kitchen. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1. The wind is blowing out to right center field. About 12, 14 miles an hour is what I saw for first pitch, the 0-1. Splitter misses off the edge, 1-1. Now, just like the youngster that we're facing, there's going to be some adjustments made, so the big thing is going to be how he adjusts to their adjustments the second time through. The 1-1 swing and a miss, 95 miles an hour, and the bat came out of the hands of Ruiz, slams it into the crowd. Thankfully, that netting is there. It banged off the net and then went into the Nationals dugout. So I don't know if that's the same bat or if they went and got him a new one. It appears to be the same bat. Detroit leads Milwaukee 2-0. That game is early on in the Motor City. Scooble Day. They go 1-2. Swung on, pops it up. High in the sky. Can of corn. Who wants it? Riley's got it, and that'll end the inning. 3 up, 3 down. We got a lead. Holy cow. Is this Braves baseball?
Strippers have always used names of expensive things like Diamond or Mercedes. Nowadays, DJs be like, please welcome gas and eggs to the main stage.
Most of the problems in your life are probably your fault. And don't hear what I'm not saying. I do understand you. I get that being a victim makes you feel like you have a get-out-of-jail-free card for being a and I'm here to tell you, no. Stick with me here. You might not be depressed. You might just need to go find a glass of water, eat a salad, have a decent sleep schedule. I have insomnia, do you? Or do you just lack the self-control to put the phone down? I'm not saying these things because I'm trying to be an I'm saying them because when I say you're not allowed to quit, I truly mean it. However, until you start taking accountability for the things that are your fault, then nobody can help you. Have a great day.
Hey, baby! We're going to be here all day! We're going to be here all day, baby! I like this kind of party!
Say the weird thing.
Is a police officer obstructing a citizen's right to freedom of speech if they handcuff a deaf person?
Bob Gibson's first pitch to Yastrzemski. Here's the pitch. He swung at it, base hit out of the right field.
Yastrzemski continued his tear, hitting .400, smashing 3 home runs, and in one game driving in 4 of Boston's 5 runs. But Bob Gibson overwhelmed nearly every other Red Sox hitter.
Gibson set. Here's the pitch. Strike 3.
Despite an aching elbow, he won the first game, took 3 days off, then won the 4th.
Struck him out swinging.
3 days later, he was called in again to pitch the 7th against Boston's best, Jim Lonborg, who had also won his 2 games, but who was starting with only 2 days rest.
Welcome back to Braves Country Baseball. Austin Riley leads us off. DJ Hers goes back to work. First pitch is a slider at the top of the zone for a strike. It's 0-1. Riley 0 for 1. The 0-1. Swing and a miss over the top. 93 miles an hour, 0-2. The 0-2 pitch. Lets her go. 94 inside, 1-2. Braves lead it 2-0. Got both runs in the second inning. The 1-2 pitch. Way outside wide. Changeup misses 2-2. I'm starting to think with the leadoff hitters, from Acuna to Harris to Ozzie, that they somehow go over in the pregame meeting. It goes something like this: the 2-2 pitch, swung on, pops it up high in the sky, into center field, lazy fly ball. Making the catch is Young, one away. Say it goes something like this. All right, now you leadoff hitters, I don't want you looking at any pitches. First thing he throws, you swing at it. We don't want you to get any feel for the pitcher. All right. As long as you got that. If I see you taking any pitches, we're going to drop you in the order. I mean, it is unbelievable. I saw one of the guys on Twitter who's trying to drag Ozzie for it, but they all do it. Marcell Ozuna stands in. He's 0 for 1. The first pitch, 81 off the edge. It's 1-0. Braves 2, Nats nothing. Hurston Waldrip's debut. The 1-0. Swing and lifts it high. He's skipping. Did he get enough? Deep into right center field. He did not. It'll die on the warning track. 2 down. 2 down. He got it up into that wind. I think he was hoping it was going to carry. Didn't look like one that he would send out, but the wind carrying out, you never know. Now, once again, if you go off of the stats that were being shown, 15 feet on that makes a big difference. That ball's into the seats. We talked about that yesterday. First pitch on the way to Olsen is inside for a ball. It's 1-0. Talking about the average exit velocity and launch angle. Won't go through all the numbers again, but basically saying the Braves are getting 15 feet less this year than they did last year. The 1-0 misses high, 2-0. Average major league team is losing about 6 to 7 feet. We're losing 15. The 2-0 pitch, swing and a miss. 93 letter high, probably a ball, 2-1. So a 2-1 count. Pitch on the way, swing and fist that foul in between third and the dugout. Sliding attempt by the catcher Ruiz just out of his grab, falls harmlessly to the turf. 2-2. So a 2-2 count. The pitch on the way to Olsen is sliced foul down the third base side. 2-2. The 2-2 way high and inside. Almost gets Olsen in the head. The payoff pitch to Olsen. Rocks and fires, swung on, fouls it straight back. So you got a 3-2 count to Olsen. There are 2 outs, nobody on. The payoff pitch. Swung on. That ball is laced into center field. That is going to get down for a base hit. And your Atlanta Braves. 1 on, 2 out. That'll bring Adam Duvall to the plate. First pitch on the way to Duvall. He swings out of his shoes as a slider well out of the zone. It's 0-1. The 0-1. Lefty righty. Swings at another one in the dirt. Making Duvall look foolish. It's 0-2. I mean, if you're Hurts, do you throw anything else? He's gone fishing on 2 sliders that are nowhere near the zone. So Duvall takes his time out, steps back in. Runner on first, 2 outs. I don't think there's any way I give him anything but something in the dirt. The 0-2 pitch, that's what he did. This time Duvall finally lays off 1-2. You got a 1-2 count. Duvall walked his first time up. The pitch. Inside, caught, looking, strike 3. So he swings at 2 pitches in the dirt around his shoelaces. One right there about letter high. He lets go by. Go take a seat. Duvall will be back in a flash here on Braves Country.
I don't do ibuprofen. I do ibupuffin.
Damn! Look at you on my page again. Hi. I thought you didn't like me.
Dad,
Yeah.
you think I can take the truck out of town?
How far?
I don't know, like Yosemite?
Maybe, but this thing's been sitting for 4 years. You need to shake it down and make sure everything works before you take it far out of town. You're gonna get stuck on the side of the road with no cell service for 2 days. That'll set you straight.
You don't think I can survive on stuck on the side of the road for 2 days?
Well, you're kind of an indoor dog, so I'm gonna say no.
What does that mean?
You really want me to answer that? Jesus Christ, man.
All right, look, what if I brought like 5 friends?
Then there'd be 6 of you idiots stuck on the side of the road.
Bob Gibson. The pitch by Londor. Swung on. A long drive, deep left center, way back. Is might be out of here. It is a home run for Bob Gibson.
Gibson won it easily, 7-2, and added insult to injury by hitting a home run of his own.
Joins the list of pitchers who have hit home runs in World Series competition.
In 3 complete series games, he gave up just 14 hits, something no one else had done since Christy Mathewson in 1905. Boston canceled its victory parade. It was a great World Series, but that year more people had watched professional football's first Super Bowl than any series game. Baseball was now said to be too leisurely, too serene to be the national pastime.
Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Welcome back to Braves Country Baseball. Hurston Waldrip goes back to work. The first pitch swung on, pops it up high in the sky. Ozzy's shaking everybody off, just back and makes the catch, 1 away. Hurston Waldrip just 1 strikeout on the day. So 1 up, 1 down here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Righty-lefty matchup. The pitch on the way. Swing, banged on the ground. In between the wicket of Olsen. Olsen's going to throw the ball. Terrible throw. And Olsen's coming back trying to tag. Oh, did he come off the bag? The runner, Gallo, came up, was kind of lightly jogging up there. Olsen was trying to sneak behind him. Darnode fired the ball to Olsen as he was coming up. He got back to the bag in time, but it almost looked like he came off the bag. Did Olsen still have the tag applied to him? Oh, he had his hand on him. He didn't have his glove on him. Good job, Olsen. First pitch on the way to Young is a strike right there at the knees. It's 0-1. The 0-1. Jacob Young batting .272 on the year. .643 OPS. Righty-righty matchup. Swung on, chopped over to third. It's going to be a 5-4-3 Inning-ending double play. So just like that, the splitter gets the double play. We'll be back in a flash.
What you doing?
Get in the car.
Okay, so I have a question. So if you were a hot dog man and you were selling hot dogs, how would you sell hot dogs?
Hot dog. You want a hot dog? Come get hot dogs. Let pickles, let ketchup, mustard, and pickles. I don't like ketchup.
Nobody gonna buy hot dogs from you.
Get the hell out of my.
Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac Magee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball.
Oh, son hit it too. Where we waiting for? Where we waiting for? Where we waiting for, bro? Gas prices.
Somebody explain this to me. But on a Chevrolet, why does the symbol look like a maxi pad?
Time in the course of a ball game is critically important. A baseball game does not rush by with the blur of action of basketball or hockey. It doesn't exist in these sort of spasms the way that it does in football, where everything is lost in the crash and clash of helmets and pads. Instead, we spend most of our time at a ball game pondering inaction. We are sitting there while the third baseman is standing 7 or 8 feet off the bag. The batter steps out of the batter's box and he lifts the bat behind his head. Pitcher steps off the mound, blows on his fingers. That's the action of baseball. It's the absence of action. What it does is it pulls us to the edges of our chairs. It pulls us to that point of anticipation. It pulls us to wondering what's going to happen and playing the game in our mind before it plays on the field itself.
Welcome back to Braves Country Baseball. Braves 2, Nats nothing. First pitch on the way to start the top of the fourth inning is a bender at the knees to Travis d'Arnaud, who's 0 for 1, 1 for 1 with a run scored. It's right there at the knees. It's 0-1. The 0-1 changeup misses down and in, 1-1. The 1-1 pitch swung on, lifted high into right field. That's going to be an easy catch. F9 in your scorecard. 1 away. 1 down. And Orlando Arcia will come to the plate. I'm sorry, not Orlando Arcia. I'm looking at yesterday's. Michael Harris II will come to the plate. Home plate umpire came out. I believe he's assigning. He's assigning a ball pitcher violation on Hertz. DJ Hertz, there's the 1-0. That's below the knees, so Fletcher pretty much just gave him a strike to even up the ball. It's 1-1. That ball was well below the knees. Terrible call. The 1-1 swung on, pops it back foul. 1-2. So a 1-2 count. Braves lead it 2-0. Harris to be followed by Arcia. The pitch. Swung on, pops it up. Another bad at bat by Michael Harris II. Be an easy fly ball. Can of corn in the middle of the infield. Gallo makes the catch. 2 away. So 2 down. Orlando Arcia takes the first pitch down low for a low strike. It's 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. Lefty righty. DJ lets it go. 94 inside, 1-1. So they get those 2 runs, and now they're in danger of 2 really easy innings for the rookie southpaw. The 1-1 pitch. Outside wide. Strike called, 1-2. So you got a 1-2 count. Pitch on the way. Down and in. 2-2. Braves 2, Nats nothing. The 2-0 pitch. Caught looking, strike 3. Well, there you go. Can we get designated hitters for all of our fielders? We'll be back in a flash.
I'm going to go ahead and say, if a man cheats, he needs to have points deducted from his credit score. Because, Dan, if I can't trust you, why should the bank?
Man, ain't this the truth? White clubs be free and fun. Black clubs might be $40 and you might die. What a lie is. You go to a white club, somebody in the back gonna holler, hey, all drinks on me. You go party with the black people. Even the gun sounds in the songs make you nervous, boy. You can walk in a white club and make a lot of friends. A lot of friends. You go to a black club and have a potential opposition. You go to a white club, they got a dress code to make sure you ain't got no weapons on you. You go to a black club, you can wear a size 60 pants with a rocket launcher on your hip, and they gonna act like they didn't feel it. At white clubs, they make flyers and stuff. Hey, man, you wear Air Postals and Sperry's, you get in free. Then you hear that our clubs, look, ladies, free all night, and make sure y'all fellas bring that bag, you heard me?
Y'all, can somebody explain to me why my wife can't remember where she put her hair tie, but she can remember something I said on December 21st of 2021 at 6:40 p.m.?
Football demonstrates the manic division of labor that makes life confusing and I should think unsatisfying. I mean, who wants to grow up to be a 3rd and long yardage pulling guard?
I once had to think of 99 reasons why baseball was better than football. I already had an assignment to do a magazine piece on that topic, and I thought it would take me a long time to write it, but I finished before lunch. It really isn't difficult. I think the first thing is that baseball has no halftime. Then it has no bands at halftime.
It may be that the most American thing about baseball is that it, as we, the fans, take it, it is a refuge from America. I think that when we go to baseball, we are going away from the America of our daily lives. We go to something that we now consider pastoral. It seems to us historic and connected with the past.
In addition, football combines the 2 worst features of modern American life. It's violence punctuated by committee meetings.
Welcome back to Braves Country Baseball. First pitch on the way from Hurston Waldrip to C.J. Abrams. It's right there for a strike. It's 0-1. Righty-lefty matchup, top of the order once again. The 0-1. Right there, 0-2. So an 0-2 count. See if he can finish him off. The pitch. Swung on, chop foul, just got a piece of that splitter. Would like to see him start getting some strikeouts. That's what he's known for. Want to make sure that this isn't something that's not going to translate to the next level. Though you do like seeing getting out. You like to see the swing and miss stuff, especially in today's game. The 0-2 pitch on the way from Waldrip. Swung on, chop foul. Do it again, 0-2. White Sox and Red Sox are scoreless in the 4th. Minnesota leads Pittsburgh 3-1 in the 5th. Baltimore 2-0 over Tampa Bay in the 6th. The 0-2 pitch. Way outside wide, 96 miles an hour, nowhere near the zone. So a 1-2 count. Pitch on the way from Waldrop. Swung on, pops it up high and deep into right field. Not quite deep enough. Making the catch is Duvall. One away. One down. That'll bring Lane Thomas back to the plate. Thomas, the right fielder, batting .217 with a .627 OPS. But against Atlanta, he looks like Ted Williams. First pitch on the way is a strike at the knees. It's 0-1. The 0-1. Righty-righty matchup. The pitch swung on. That ball's laced into center field. Makes no shock there. Lane Thomas gets the first hit off of Waldrip. And the no-hitter is gone for the rookie. Did see AY was gifted a membership by GOAT. So welcome to the club, AY, via the GOAT. First pitch on the way is a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to Winker. It's 0-1. Winker uses timeout. He uses timeout right after that pitch because his shin guard gave way. The 0-1. Outside wide, 1-1. He's got to change. And if he can get the change working, you would think that would be another good pitch to sprinkle in. So if you've got 3 pitches, the 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss, splitter off the edge. That looked more like the change. They're calling that the split. That looked like his change. His splitter normally comes a little sharper, a little faster. That one was a little slower. So a 1-2 count. The pitch. Nowhere near the zone, outside wide, 2-2. The 2-2. Looks like the Pirates have tied it up with the Twins. In fact, they've even taken a 4-3 lead. Connor Joe just hit a bases clearing double. They are in the 5th. Waldrip flipped it over to first, but the runner was well back in time. So a 2-2 count to Winker. Righty-lefty matchup. The pitch on the way. Swung on, chopped, foul. Do it again. Detroit 7-0 over Milwaukee. I believe that was our old friend Bryce Wilson on the mound for Milwaukee, and he's actually had a pretty good year, but he's getting pounded today. In fact, they're already into the bullpen. The 2-2 from Waldrip. Fastball misses high, ball 3. So a 3-2 count. We've got one out. Standing on deck is Eddie Rosario. Second time through the order for the youngster. Turns around and flips over to first. Man alive, they're putting out the whooping stick. It's 10-0 in Detroit. Jake Rogers just hit a 3-run shot. The payoff pitch to Winker. Did he go around? They're going to check down the line. They're going to say he didn't. Man, I thought he might get that call. I'd like to see the look down that side. See, here's the replay of it. Oh, no, he held up. So Waldrip walks another one. He's walked 2 and struck out just 1. Not a good match you want to make there. The first pitch on the way to Eddie Rosario is a 4-seam fastball. That got all of the plate. Better be careful with that one. It's 0-1. For all his is the 0-1 pitch, swung on, lifted high into center field, going back on the track, making the catch is Michael Harris II, fires it into the infield. The runner from second goes to third. So you got Thomas at third. Winker stayed at first. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. For all the faults in Eddie Rosario's game, he can still hit the long ball. 1 out to get out of this jam. The infield will be playing back. A little bit to the right with Garcia coming to the plate. Garcia's 0 for 1. First pitch on the way to Garcia. 96 off the edge. It's 0-1. fact, the only guy Waldrip has struck out is Eddie Rosario. The 1-0. Nowhere near the zone 2-0. Walks will get you sent back down to Gwinnett for sure. So the 2-0 count. Swing, and that ball's laced into left field. That's going to get a run in. It's 2-1 Washington. Runners on first and second, and 2 outs. Just kind of sliced that one. Didn't hit it real hard, but hit it where they ain't. Out in front of the left fielder, Kelnick. It was a splitter and just went down and just kind of sliced at it. Almost like a drop shot in tennis. Two on, 2 out. Bring Ruiz to the plate. Ruiz, first pitch on the way, blasted. She gone. I was just about to say this would have been a good time for Kranitz to get up off his ass and go talk to him. But instead, they let the rookie out there hang out to dry. And the Braves trail 4-2. They're always a day late and $1 short when it comes to talking to the pitcher. But when you're talking about a rookie, his first outing, you got to go out there, talk to him, and calm him down. He knew at the moment that he swung on it. So Hurston Waldrip will try to go back to work. Got to fight through these things. Senzel comes to the plate. First pitch on the way is a slider off the edge. It's 1-0. Still no one go out there and talk to him. I mean, I know Snicker and Kranitz like to take the day games off, but man, go out there, wake up a little bit. The 1-0, down and away, 2-0. Until the youngsters rattled for sure now. The 2-0 from Waldrip, 51 pitches in the dirt, 3-0. You had a 3-0 count. Kranitz is finally getting to the step, the pitch, right down the pipe, 3-1. But I mean, you're a day late and $1 short when you're waiting till after they hit the home run. Not to mention, right after that home run, he should have been out there to talk to him. The 3-1 down and away, ball 4. So Waldrop is coming unraveled here in his major league debut. Quickly finding out this isn't Gwinnett and this isn't the Southeastern Conference. Kranitz finally is going to go out there and waddle out there to the mound. But this is something that should have been done 2 batters ago. Really is frustrating when you watch this as a fan because it doesn't take a genius to know that with 2 on, 2 out, a run in, this is the time to go talk to the youngster. Calm him down. Especially facing Ruiz, who is a very good left-handed hitting catcher. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be hitting in the middle of the order. So Kranitz will go back to the dugout, put his quilt on, and nod back off to sleep. First pitch on the way to there is a sharp splitter, swing and a miss to Gallo. It's 0-1. He's still at only 55 pitches. The 0-1. Swung on, chopped over towards third, backhanded by Riley. No way to get that play. They were in that shift, and Riley was going to take a miracle for him to get over there and make the play. The left-handed batter running down the line. Not much of a chance there. So now you got runners on first and second, 2 outs. A long fourth inning here for Hurston Waldrip. First pitch on the way. Down and away. Slider misses. It's 1-0. If they fire Snicker, I say just make Travis Darnode player manager. The 1-0. Righty. Pitch on the way. Inside high, 2-0. Waldrip is coming apart at the seams here. You know that home run's still probably in the back of his mind. The 2-0. 95 right there at the top of the zone, 2-1. Top of the order looms on deck. Runners on first and second. 2 out. Braves trail 4-2. After a good start, Waldrip's coming apart at the seams here in the fourth. The 2-1 pitch. 94 down below, 3-1. They are starting to warm up Aaron Bummer. That's not what you wanted to see on Waldrip's debut, an Aaron Bummer sighting. The 3-1, top of the zone, called for a strike, 3-2. So the good news is you got a full count now, not a walk. Bad news is with 2 outs, the runners will be on the move. The number 9 hitter, I don't know why they're out there just dancing around him. Go after him. The payoff pitch in the dirt. Tried another splitter. That ball gets away. The bases are loaded. 2 outs. Number 9 hitter, soft hitting center fielder. In the last 3 pitches were all splitters. Go after him. Use that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. They try to be too fine, too cute. And Sticker's going to come get Waldrip. That is a terrible job by the Braves coaching staff in this game. Waldrip's debut is done. They're going to go and grab someone out of the pen. And with that being said, I'm well past my 3 o'clock mark that I was supposed to get off of here at. Y'all have a good one. I'm going to put the chat up, and the Waldrip debut did not go as planned. Hopefully we get the W anyways.